From Reluctance to Triumph, U.S. Path to Victory in World War II. Hey everyone, welcome back to Enchant Minds. It's great to see you all here again. Today, we have an exciting topic to explore that delves into a pivotal moment in history. Grab your popcorn and settle in, because we're about to embark on a fascinating journey through time. Ever wondered why the U.S. hesitated to join World War II and what eventually changed their mind? It's a story filled with complex political maneuvers, public sentiment, and unforeseen events. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of America's path to war. In the late 1930s, the world was on the brink of war. Europe was becoming increasingly unstable, with nations like Germany and Italy aggressively expanding their territories. Meanwhile, in Asia, Japan's militaristic ambitions were causing significant unrest. The global atmosphere was tense, and conflict seemed inevitable. The United States was initially reluctant to enter World War II. The horrors of the First World War were still fresh in the American psyche, and there was a strong desire to avoid getting entangled in another overseas conflict. Many believed that the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans provided a safe buffer from the turmoil abroad. America followed an isolationist policy after World War I, focusing inward and avoiding entanglements in foreign alliances. This approach was rooted in the painful memories of the previous war and a belief that the U.S. should not interfere in the affairs of other nations. This sentiment was widespread across the country. The American public in the late 1930s was deeply scarred by the aftermath of World War I. Memories of the staggering loss of life and the economic toll lingered, fostering a strong anti-war sentiment across the nation. This widespread apprehension was a significant barrier to any potential involvement in another European conflict. After World War I, America adopted an isolationist policy, aiming to distance itself from international entanglements. This approach was seen as a safeguard against being drawn into foreign wars. The policy resonated with the public, who preferred focusing on domestic issues rather than being embroiled in global conflicts. The United States was grappling with the Great Depression during the 1930s. The government and citizens alike were preoccupied with economic recovery. Prioritizing internal stability over international interventions seemed logical, as the nation worked to rebuild its economy and provide jobs for millions of unemployed Americans. To reinforce its isolationist stance, Congress passed a series of neutrality acts in the 1930s. These laws were designed to prevent the sale of arms and other war materials to belligerent countries. The legislation aimed to ensure that the United States would remain neutral and uninvolved in overseas wars. Despite the isolationist sentiment, President Franklin D. Roosevelt recognized the growing threat posed by Axis powers. He carefully navigated the political landscape, seeking ways to support allied nations without direct military involvement. This delicate balancing act was crucial in maintaining a semblance of neutrality while preparing the nation for potential conflict. Everything changed on December 7, 1941, when Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbour. This devastating assault targeted the U.S. Pacific Fleet stationed in Hawaii, resulting in over 2,400 American casualties and significant damage to naval vessels and aircraft. The attack shocked the nation and shattered any remaining isolationist sentiments. The day after the attack, the U.S. declared war on Japan. President Franklin D. Roosevelt addressed Congress, calling December 7th a date which will live in infamy. The overwhelming support from both Congress and the American public marked a decisive end to the country's isolationism and propelled it into World War II. In response, the United States quickly mobilized its military and industrial resources. The government instituted a draft, enlisted millions of men and women, and ramped up production of war materials. Factories that once manufactured civilian goods were converted to produce tanks, planes, and munitions, transforming the U.S. into the arsenal of democracy. The Pacific Theater became a major focus for the United States. Facing formidable Japanese forces, the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps began a series of campaigns to regain control of strategic islands. These operations required immense coordination and highlighted the importance of naval power and air superiority in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. June 1942 marked the pivotal Battle of Midway. This confrontation was crucial as it halted Japanese advancements and shifted the balance of power in the Pacific. U.S. intelligence had successfully cracked Japanese codes, allowing American forces to anticipate and counter the Japanese fleet's movements, leading to a decisive victory. The strategic victory at Midway turned the tide in favor of the Allies. This battle showcased the importance of intelligence and air superiority. It also demonstrated the effectiveness of American aircraft carriers and their ability to project power across the vast Pacific Ocean, setting the stage for future operations. The U.S. adopted an island-hopping strategy to combat Japanese forces. This approach involved capturing key islands and using them as bases for further advances, effectively bypassing heavily fortified positions. This strategy aimed to weaken Japanese defenses and bring American forces closer to Japan, gradually squeezing the enemy's supply lines and resources. The Guadalcanal campaign began in August 1942 and was the first major U.S. offensive in the Pacific. The campaign involved brutal fighting on land, sea, and air. Despite fierce resistance from Japanese forces, the U.S. secured a crucial victory by February 1943, marking a significant turning point in the Pacific War. The fighting on Guadalcanal was brutal and relentless, involving fierce battles on land, sea, and air. Both sides suffered heavy casualties as they struggled for control of the island. The harsh jungle terrain and tropical diseases added to the challenges faced by the troops, making the campaign even more grueling. By February 1943, after months of intense combat, the U.S. secured a crucial victory at Guadalcanal. This success not only provided a strategic foothold in the Pacific but also boosted American morale. It demonstrated the capability of U.S. forces to take on and defeat the Japanese military. The victory at Guadalcanal marked a significant momentum shift in the Pacific War. It disrupted Japanese plans and put them on the defensive. With this win, the U.S. gained a valuable staging area for future operations, paving the way for their island-hopping strategy to eventually reach Japan. By 1945, the U.S. had successfully leapfrogged across the Pacific, reaching the island of Iwo Jima. This small island held immense strategic importance for air operations against Japan, offering a base for American bombers. The battle for Iwo Jima was one of the fiercest in the Pacific, highlighting the relentless determination of U.S. forces. Iwo Jima held immense strategic importance for the United States military. Capturing the island provided a critical base for air operations against Japan. This tiny, volcanic island would allow American bombers to reach the Japanese mainland, significantly enhancing their ability to conduct sustained aerial assaults and ultimately bring the war closer to Japan's doorstep. The battle for Iwo Jima was marked by intense and brutal combat. American forces encountered fierce resistance from well-entrenched Japanese defenders. The rugged terrain, combined with fortified bunkers and underground tunnels, made each inch of progress exceedingly difficult. Despite these challenges, U.S. forces pressed on, driven by the island's strategic value. One of the most iconic moments of the Pacific Campaign occurred during the Battle for Iwo Jima, the raising of the American flag on Mount Suribachi. This powerful image symbolized hope and resilience. Captured by photographer Joe Rosenthal, the photo became an enduring representation of American determination and the high cost of victory. Securing Iwo Jima was a pivotal achievement for the United States. This victory not only provided a critical base for air operations but also boosted American morale. The hard-fought battle demonstrated the tenacity of U.S. forces and underscored the escalating intensity of the Pacific Campaign as they moved closer to Japan. With Iwo Jima in American hands, the U.S. began planning the final steps to end the war. The focus shifted to the Japanese mainland, and strategies were developed to bring about Japan's surrender. This included increased bombing campaigns and the preparation for a potential invasion, highlighting the relentless push toward victory. The U.S. was secretly developing the atomic bomb under the Manhattan Project, a massive and highly classified effort involving some of the world's top scientists. This endeavor aimed to create a new weapon of unprecedented destructive power, which was seen as a potential game-changer in bringing the war to a decisive end. President Truman faced a grave decision regarding the use of the newly developed atomic bombs. Weighing the potential to save countless American lives and bring a swift end to the war, He ultimately decided to authorize their use, believing it was necessary to force Japan into surrendering without further prolonged conflict. On August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, resulting in massive destruction and significant loss of life. The bomb, nicknamed Little Boy, caused immediate and catastrophic damage, leveling much of the city and resulting in tens of thousands of fatalities, with many more suffering from severe injuries and radiation sickness. Just 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. This bomb, known as Fat Man, caused similar devastation and loss of life, further demonstrating the overwhelming destructive capability of atomic weaponry. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki shocked the world and underscored the horrific potential of nuclear warfare. The bombings led to Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945, effectively ending World War II. The decision to use atomic bombs remains controversial, but it undeniably played a crucial role in compelling Japan to capitulate. The immense loss of life and destruction prompted a reflection on the ethical implications and future use of such weapons. Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945, marked the end of a devastating global conflict. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were pivotal in this decision, leaving behind unparalleled destruction and loss of life. The surrender brought relief but also raised ethical questions about the use of atomic weapons. The atomic bombs effectively ended World War II, demonstrating the overwhelming destructive power of nuclear technology. This decision, while controversial, was driven by the desire to avoid further prolonged and bloody conflict. It showcased the US's military capabilities and heralded the beginning of a new, nuclear age in global politics. Reflecting on the impact and aftermath of the bombings, we see a world grappling with the horrors of nuclear warfare. The cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki became symbols of peace and resilience, urging humanity to strive for a future free from the threat of such catastrophic weapons. The legacy of US involvement in World War II is profound. America's entry into the war shifted the balance in favor of the Allies, leading to the eventual defeat of the Axis powers. The war effort spurred technological advancements, economic growth, and positioned the US as a global superpower in the post-war era. If you found this video insightful, please like and subscribe to our channel. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspectives on this crucial moment in history. Stay tuned for more deep dives into pivotal events that shaped our world. Reflecting on the legacy of US involvement in World War II reveals a profound transformation in global dynamics. The United States emerged as a superpower, playing a pivotal role in establishing international institutions like the United Nations. This era also marked the beginning of the Cold War, shaping geopolitical strategies for decades. The impact of World War II on American society was immense, fostering technological advancements and economic growth. The GI Bill facilitated education and homeownership for returning veterans, reshaping the middle class. However, the war also left scars, including the ethical debates surrounding the use of atomic bombs and the long-term consequences of such decisions.